The Starry Night Archetype. On this night, when the world is full of happiness, a certain ancient legend is told. The legend of the Starry Dragon. A holy dragon appears on a beautiful starry night, with a knight in a white robe on its back. The good are given a blessing and guidance, while the wicked are thrown into a holy fire that burns away evil. For the uninformed, it is a mere fairy tale. However, there is a hidden truth to this story. Since the beginning of time, there have been demonic beings that spread disorder. The angels that watch over the people took pity and prayed to the heaven. In answer to that holy prayer, Starry Night, Starry Dragon descended upon the earth. The Starry Dragon unleashed its might to save humankind. The angels took arms as knights obedient to the will of the dragon, and served to purge the evil. The traces of the holy dragon and the angels silently disappear as they fulfill their duties. To the twinkling stars, flowing like the Milky Way, we give thanks and holy blessings. Long ago, in 1999, for the release of the Game Boy Color game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2, Dark Duel Stories, Japan gave out a level 7 vanilla monster as a promotional card. It was known as Staryu. Fun fact, by the way, this is what a 20-year-old Yu-Gi-Oh! Game's gameplay looked like. Yes, what you are watching right now is actually a duel. It's very charming, I must admit, but it's given me a whole new appreciation of what we have now with things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Still, pretty awesome though. Some of you may recognize this monster from its extremely brief appearances in the anime, such as when a mind-controlled Bandit Keith used it against Yugi, or when Taya Gardner used it during the Capsule Monster spin-off anime. I should really make a video on that series. Regardless of where you know it from, I'm sure you're all asking the same question. What does that monster have to do with this archetype? Well, it turns out the whole Starry Night archetype is inspired by this one monster, essentially making the Starry Night archetype legacy support for Staryu. But I should probably explain how this came about. Well, you see, this monster's English name of Staryu is just its Japanese name written out in English. It essentially translates to Holy Night Dragon. And just to clarify, you see the word night here as in time of day. Well, the actual translation is knight as in knight in armor kind of thing. The reason for the confusion is knight and knight in Japanese. Well, from what I understand it, they translate to pretty much the exact same kanji. While it's rare to see an old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster translated into its actual Japanese name, what's even weirder is that it seems someone at Konami must have said this monster's name out loud nearly 20 years after its release, and thought that name of Holy Night Dragon sounds a lot like that line from the Christmas song, Silent Night. Holy Night. So what did the Konami employee do after hearing this tiny little coincidence? Well, they thought, I'm gonna make a whole archetype based on this tiny coincidence. And so Staryu would become the first official Christmas Dragon of Yu-Gi-Oh! And as a result of that, Staryu would get an upgraded retrain in the form of Starry Night, Starry Dragon, and a bunch of support monsters in the form of the Holy Knights. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The Starry Knights, known in the Japanese as the Holy Knights, are an archetype based all around the holiday of Christmas. However, the influences of Christmas lean much more heavily towards the religious side of the holiday, as opposed to the more commercial side. What I mean by this is you won't be seeing any Santa Clauses or reindeers in this archetype. The Starry Knights debuted in the 2021 pack, Ghost from the Past, with further support being added later that year in Lightning Overdrive and Burst of Destiny. All the monsters in the archetype are either level 4 fairy monsters or level 7 light dragon monsters. The way that the deck works is their main goal is to get their boss monster, Starry Night Starry Dragon, into the hand, and then summon it to the field from the hand in whatever way possible. The reason for summoning it from the hand is because when it is summoned from the hand, it will destroy a card on the field when summoned. Following this, you want to then try to bounce this monster back to the hand and then resummon it as much as possible, as each time you do, you can destroy a card on the field. And then after repeating this process as much as you can and depleting as many of your opponent's resources as you can then attack one of your opponent's monsters. This monster's effect will get rid of that monster and then it can attack again. In fact, this is a good time to look at the monsters. First of all, we have the two boss monsters of the archetype. Starry, known in the Japanese as Holy Night Dragon. Its flavor text reads, a mystical dragon that burns away the unworthy with its mystic flames. Its 20 years later upgraded form is that of Starry Night Starry Dragon, known in the Japanese as, this is kind of awesome, the dragon, sparkling in the holy night. Its effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned from the hand, you can target one card in the field, destroy it. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark monster, or by a dark monster's effect. Once per turn, at the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monster until the end phase. Also, this card can make a second attack in a row. Now, at first glance, these two don't seem related at all in terms of appearance. However, taking a closer look, we can see that in fact, they do share similar facial features, similar patterns on their wings as well. And in fact, overall, the new monster is just the old monster drawn in just a more detailed style. And outside of appearances, they both share identical attributes, types, levels, attack, and defense stats. However, there is one big difference, and my personal biggest criticism of these two monsters. And that is the fact Starry Night Starry Dragon isn't pink. I know that seems like such a small and weird thing to be annoyed about, but I feel like the original pink color was very iconic and quite unique to the monster. By turning it white or platinum, as it seems to be described as in the lore, we now have a monster that, if I held its artwork up in a sea of Blue Eyes White Dragon artworks, I reckon a lot of you would just think, oh, it's just another Blue Eyes monster. So for me personally, I think a little bit of its personality has been taken away by changing the color of the monster. However, I'll let you all be the judge. Should this monster have stayed pink? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, there's another elephant in the room I'd like to address. These monsters are the Christmas archetype, right? Well, where does the Christmas influence come from? Surely it wasn't just become a monster from 20 years ago had a name similar to a Christmas song. Well, believe it or not, yes, that's pretty much the only similarity. I mean, I could make a real stretch here and say that its attack of 2500 is a reference to the 25th of December, which is Christmas Day. However, there is already a monster that has this reference called Santa Claus. And it does it even better by being called Santa Claus, looking like the Santa Claus, and having its attack and defense stats based on the month and day of Christmas. So yeah, this archetype was a weird pivot to Christmas, but I don't mind. It's fine. Now, you might be surprised to learn that this monster has an evil counterpart, known fittingly as the Evil Night Dragon. In fact, Evil Night Dragon might be what the demons are alluded to being in the lore. This rivalry is further continued in Starry Night Starry Dragon's effect, as it is immune to all forms of destruction via dark monsters. So, this has me thinking, could we see a retrain of Serpent Night Dragon? Maybe change to Silent Night Dragon, because then you've got Silent Night and Holy Night. That would be really cool. And yeah, this archetype could now be the rival to the Holy Knights. I guess only time will tell. We see Starry appearing in the artwork of Dragon's Bind. While not a part of the core archetype, it does support the deck in an interesting way, acting as a floodgate that perfectly works with Starry and Starry Night Dragon. You see, Dragon Bind's effect is activate this card by targeting one Dragon-type monster you control with 2500 or less attack or defense. Neither player can special summon monsters with attack less than or equal to the original attack of that monster. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. Now looking at the cards that Starry Night Starry Dragon appears in, well, we have 3 that appear in the archetype. These are Starry Night Arrival, known in the Japanese as Holy Night's Advent. Its effect is, during the main phase, you can activate one of these effects. Target a level 7 light dragon monster you control, return it to the hand. Special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. This card is the perfect card to have alongside Starry Night Starry Dragon. Bounce it back to the hand, special summon it to the field. It works so well together. And in fact, the use of the word Advent in this monster's Japanese name is a reference to the Christian activity of Advent, which is essentially a season of preparation for the nativity of Christ at Christmas. So you returning the monster back to your hand and making it ready to be summoned again is kind of a reference to this, as it is bringing about the arrival of the boss monster. And why is that so fitting? Well, that's because the word Advent itself is adopted from the Latin word Adventus, which means arrival. Very clever. The next card the boss monster appears in is Starry Night Blast. When your opponent activates a card or effect, return one level 7 light dragon monster you control to the hand, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. This card's artwork refers to the act of the dragon burning away the evil from the world. We'll see another card that does a lot of burning a little bit later, but keep in mind that this effect is a reference to Ciaryu's original flavor text, which would become the reference for why Starry Night Starry Dragon is able to destroy a monster when it's summoned to the field. Finally, the silhouette of Starry Night Dragon appears in Starry Night Ceremony, known in the Japanese as Holy Night's Nativity. Its effect is, during your main phase, you can reveal one light fairy monster in your hand, and if you do, add a level 7 light dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Then place that revealed monster on the bottom of the deck. If your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon one level 7 dragon monster from your hand. The monsters in the artwork are summoning the Holy Dragon. This card's Japanese name of Nativity is another Christian Christmas term that refers to the birth of Jesus. In this case, the birth of the Holy Dragon, as this card can summon the Holy Dragon to the field. And in fact, it would seem that, fittingly, the Star of Jerusalem can be seen in this card's artwork, which is a typical Christian symbol, as it was a comet that appeared at the birth of Christ and led the 3 wise men to the baby Jesus. In fact, while we're talking about the sky, we have Starry Night Sky. During your main phase, you can normal summon one Starry Night monster or one level 7 light dragon monster in addition to your normal summon or set. During your turn, if a face-up level 7 light dragon monster you control returns to the hand, you can draw one card. We also have Starry Night Balefire. Its effect lets you add one Starry Night monster or one level 7 light dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you control no monsters and your opponent controls a dark monster, you can special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. The word Balefire, by the way, it just means a large open air fire. Now, if you haven't noticed, all of the support cards that we have just talked about all have an effect that has something to do with a level 7 light dragon monster. And that appears to be the consistent effect of this archetype, as nearly every single card in this archetype has an effect that does something with level 7 light dragon monsters. I bring this up because every single one of the 5 fairy monsters that are a part of this archetype, which act as angels for the archetype, if you will, has an effect that has something to do with a level 7 light dragon monster. As well, in combination to this, every single one of these monsters also has a graveyard effect, something that is becoming very more common in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but for this archetype, well, every single one of them gets one. And the fun fact doesn't end there either. All of the level 4 monsters' total original attack and defenses, when combined, equals 2500, which reflects the original attack of Ciaryu and Starry Night Starry Dragon, as well could be a reference to December 25th as well, but that might be stretching it a bit. These monsters are Starry Night Astal, whose effect is quick effect. You can target one light monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon a level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a level 7 light dragon monster you control. It gains 1000 attack until the end of the turn. Starry Night Seal. If this card is in your hand, you can return one Starry Night monster or one level 7 light dragon monster you control to the hand. Special summon this card. If you control no monsters, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. Starry Night Flamel. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send this card from your hand or face up from your field to the grave, special summon a level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. Quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one level 7 light dragon monster you control or in your graveyard, return it to your hand. Starry Night Orbitail. Quick effect, you can target one light monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, set one Starry Night spell or trap directly from your deck. If a face-up level 7 light dragon monster you control returns to the hand, or this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. Starry Night Rael. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one Starry Night spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target one Starry Night monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Finally, we have the newest monster, Soaring Knight, known in the Japanese as Starring Knight. Its effect is it requires 2 level 4 monsters to be summoned. You can detach 1 material from this card, special summon 1 light monster from your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can target 1 level 4 light fairy monster you control, special summon this card, and if you do, attach the targeted monster to this card as a material. And with that was the Starry Knight archetype done. And if you'd like to see me play the Starry Knight archetype, there's a link on the screen and pinned down in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.